The Block Talk podcast started because of my passion for the property management industry. I wanted to start a conversation and add some value within the industry with a diverse range of people and professionals who can add something extra. As we start out, my aim is that the podcast offers some useful insight into a variety of views, opinions, thoughts, and foresights from our guests, who include business leaders and industry experts. If you enjoy the podcast and want to find out any other information, head on over to brianwelsh.co.uk. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Block Talk podcast with me, Brian Welsh, and Jax Bruce. Jax, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm a bit tired. As I was saying to you earlier on, I had an ill bunny during the night, so I was dealing with that, but it's fine. And I've got cubs tonight, so screaming kids in a hall.
Oh well,
perfect melting pot for a Tuesday. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad. We have a phones on silent rule in our house. So after 10 a.m, our mobile phones go to silent mode and they don't come back on until 7 in the morning. But my other half does not have that rule on our work phone, which went at 12:30 this morning. So that was fun. But no, apart from that, really good. I've just spent a week in the Isle of Wight, and the weather was nice in Glasgow actually, but I got a lot of work done, so it was good. It was good to be there.
Good.
Cool. So today our guest is Hugh Macgregor, who is the Development Officer Social Housing at Cycling Scotland. Hugh manages the Social Housing Partnership Fund at Cycling Scotland, which provides support to registered social landlords to improve walking and cycling facilities. Hugh facilitated a workshop at the SFHA Scottish Factoring Network conference back in December, and we are delighted to have the opportunity to speak with him today. Hugh, I know we've had a wee bit of a chat before this, but how are you doing? You well?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I can sympathise with your cubs. I'm a scout leader as well, and yeah, it's a lot of work. So hopefully that will go well for you tonight.
Oh, excellent. My twin brother used to be a scout leader actually for many, many, many years. So Hugh, can you start by giving the people who listen to our podcast a bit of background on what it is you do at Cycling Scotland?
Yeah, no problem at all. So I work for Cycling Scotland, which is Scotland's national cycling organisation. We work with others and help create and deliver opportunities and an environment so anyone anywhere in Scotland can cycle easily and safely. What I do specifically is I work with registered social landlords, social housing providers for delivering the Social Housing Partnership Fund. So it supports housing associations, including factors, to improve walking and cycling facilities which benefit their residents.
Okay, interesting. So I have to say that during the pandemic, I cycled a huge amount. In fact, I bought a bike, which I don't think I've now been on for about a year, but I need to get back on it. So with more people cycling, more storage is needed, and we've seen reports that this is becoming a bit of an issue in blocks and communal spaces. Could you give us your thoughts on how factors and obviously housing associations could begin to make inroads with these initiatives?
Yeah, of course. We have seen a big increase in people cycling. So you're not alone there, especially during the pandemic. And the kind of baseline has remained higher than it was before COVID-19 as well. So there are more people cycling, and bikes stored in communal areas is an issue for all social housing providers, but also factors, private landlords. And it's basically how do people help kind of tackle that issue of bikes stored inappropriately in communal areas and stairwells and reduce kind of what is a common area of tension between housing providers, factors and tenants. Quite fortunate in that the fund that I manage is basically a solution to that. So we provide funding, and it is funding without a requirement for match funding as well. The best thing that they can do is provide secure cycle storage. And there are a few issues that we can go into later on about how they do that and the challenges there are to that. There are a few challenges to installing secure cycle storage, whether it be the space available, the type of housing and things like this. We offer support and guidance on that and can provide support.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I guess these are the barriers that housing associations and factors kind of face. I have to say, CPL software supply obviously software that a huge amount of probably factors in Scotland, and when we get asked to set up standard letters within the product, one of the examples that comes out every time is the letter to an owner or a property saying, please move your bike. Yeah, because it's chained to the landing in a tenement, or it's inside a door or something like that. And it's something that happens all the time. That's one of the best examples of letters that these guys come up with and they need to send on a regular basis. So what you were about to touch on, but what are the kind of biggest barriers to implementing cycle storage?
You're right. That is a really common kind of issue for factors. The main barrier, I suppose, is the space that is available and the funding to put something that's suitable and appropriate in. And it's also challenging perceptions of residents that the close or the stairwell is going to be a safe place to store a bike, and the reality is that it's not. And that often your bike is more likely to be stolen in a close than it would be if it was elsewhere, because it's actually quite a quiet place, and also it's something an area that is often targeted by people who are for stealing bikes. So the main barrier is the space that's available and the funding to put something kind of suitable in, and I suppose as well the kind of guidance on what kind of good is and the best solutions that you can install. That's something that we provide a lot of. So we've got a lot of experience of funding projects for secure cycle storage at tons of different housing types, whether it be tenement closes, high-rise flats, or kind of modern apartment blocks. So we've got a lot of experience on the best solutions, where to put them and how to fund them.
Okay, so I guess that's best practice on different housing types, which is really useful, because at the end of the day, finding someone with experience of having done this before is the easiest way to do that. So just honing in on the funding part of it. So who can get funding for these things? Can anyone get funding, or is it
the funding that we provide is
collection work, I guess.
Yeah, the funding that we provide is exclusively for social housing providers, but that can be social housing providers, registered social landlords, who are for their factored properties as well. So we don't have support for private factors, but there is support there for kind of social factors as well. But the guidance and the best practice, that's available for everybody. We'll get people who get in touch for any property and can provide support and guidance on solutions for them as well.
Okay, so say a kind of private factor manages a tenement that has 8 properties in it. They can get and they have an issue with this. They can get best practice sort of ideas from you guys as to where to put in storage and things like that.
Exactly, yeah. And there can be specific information around planning guidance that might be required. There's new permitted development legislation that came in 2021, so a lot of people aren't aware of that. And this is kind of information that's quite niche, so we wouldn't expect lots of people to have kind of a good background on. So we're happy to share the information and best practice that we've developed over the last few years with the Social Housing Fund.
Okay, interesting. Let's think about fire safety. So fire safety is always something that people need to be aware of. What's your best advice for this aspect of cycle storage?
I suppose it's awareness that fire safety is a responsibility of all the kind of duty holders involved in a property. So often, homeowners or tenants who are letting properties aren't aware that they are also a duty holder, as well as the factor or the landlord. for the kind of fire safety responsibilities. So keeping the communal areas clear of bikes is not just the responsibility of the factor of the landlord, it's their responsibility as well. And God forbid if anything was to happen, it would be kind of shared responsibility of everyone. The using the available space is a great way of dealing with the fire safety issues. We try where possible to kind of use any unused space in a building, whether it be bin stores, if something is often people have at some point in the property moved from wheelie bins to Euro bins, and there's a space there which can be kind of retrofitted, and so we can provide support on that as well.
Okay, no, that is a big part, because I guess it's the blockage of the escape routes and things like that with bikes.
Yeah.
Big challenge for people.
Yeah, exactly. It's having a clear path for firefighters if there was any incident in the building, and that is enforced pretty rigorously, kind of across all housing tenures and types.
Yeah. Okay. So if there was one kind of key takeaway for housing associations and private factors on how the best move forward with cycle storage implementation would be, what would you say?
I would say that there is always a solution for your housing type, or so often people will have a brief look into this and kind of think, okay, maybe there's nothing that's going to work or fit for my specific block or specific kind of housing site that they're looking at. So they kind of will move on and they'll just focus on enforcing the clear close policies, and as you say with your letters earlier on, removing bikes. There is almost always a solution, whether it be installing something in kind of backcourt areas, or reusing internal space, or working with the local authority for on-street cycle storage as well, because that's becoming more common in Scotland. There's currently schemes in Glasgow and Edinburgh, and you can feed into those. And yeah, essentially there is almost always a solution that you can put in place. And provide the opportunities for tenants to be able to use a bike and cycle, that anyone else would be able to access.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, because at the end of the day, people, I guess, if they don't really know about this sort of stuff and haven't really thought about it, they just think there's no solution for them. But because you've obviously done this so many times, that more often than not, there's going to be a solution you can find, even if it is going to a third party to try and get some sort of solution in place.
Yeah, exactly. And that for a lot of organizations, the time is a big cost as well. So people spending that extra time to look into different products, to look into different things, and consult with residents, that can be a huge barrier to putting in kind of good quality cycle storage, and we can reduce that and make it much easier, and give examples of what's worked elsewhere, and basically enable the factor to deal with that issue.
Okay, and if a private factor or a resident association is listening to this today, and they want to get in touch and they want to talk to someone about it, who do they get in touch with? How do they get in touch with you or Cycling Scotland or whoever?
If they're to get in touch with Cycling Scotland, they can. We've got lots of contact details on our website. So my kind of specific kind of email address that you'd be able to get in touch with me and other people that work in the same area would be the Social Housing Fund at cycling.scot. Drop an email in there, but also info@cycling.scot. They've got lots of contact details there, and we're quite a small organisation, so if anyone gets in touch via any other means, whether it be on Facebook or Twitter or phoning up our office, then it always trickles down and usually to me. So it is, if you're interested in getting in touch, the information is out there.
Okay, excellent. That's been really, really useful, Hugh. And finally, it's a new year on Block Talk, and we have a new final question. And I hope you're ready for this one. Tell us something about you that people are generally surprised to find out about you.
Yeah, I was I was trying to prepare for that question earlier on when you gave me a note of it, and well, one, I hate talking about myself, and yeah, it's always an interesting question. I asked a few other people, and I suppose I'm into quite a lot. I make lots of things, and I do lots of different kind of hobbies and stuff. And the most recent one is jewelry making. So I started a kind of jewelry making hobby a couple of years ago now, I suppose. But that's something that I do in my spare time, which always gives people a kind of a bit of a surprise look if I tell them that as well. So yeah.
Excellent, excellent. No, that's fabulous. I mean, it's always good to have things that you try, right? So
Well,
I
that's
have
it.
to say, that does surprise me. So
yeah. Well, there you go.
I thought you maybe mentioned you were a scout leader or something like that, which you mentioned.
No.
No.
See, that wouldn't surprise you after I told you earlier. But no, the I did a welding course before, and it was got cut short by lockdown, and then I picked one up just at a jewelry course at the end of at the end of lockdown as things started to open up again. So the main kind of point of thing that I've got out of that is I made our engagement ring for my wife and our wedding rings as well. So that's yeah.
That's very special. No, that's fabulous. That's fabulous. Well, Hugh, thanks very much for coming on. That's very informative, and yeah, hopefully people who are looking to deal with cycling storage will get in touch with you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.